Coming up on our newscast tonight. President Moon Jae-in will hold a series of bilateral summits with VIPs arriving in South Korea for the Winter Olympics. The extensive list of guests include U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, UN Chief Antonio Guterres, and Japanese PM Shinzo Abe. South Korea's unification ministry quells concerns regarding North Korea's military anniversary parade, pointing out such events are regularly scheduled and not designed to dampen the festive atmosphere ahead of the global games. Thousands of people from more than 60 countries are lending their hands to make PyeongChang 2018 a success. Be it medical or linguistic services, these global volunteers are ready and eager to help out. NEWSCENTER begins now. It's 8 p.m. here in Korea, time for Arirang News Center. Welcome to our program, live from Seoul. I'm Daniel Che. The nation's top office unveiled when and where President Moon Jae-in will be holding numerous bilateral summits penciled in during the PyeongChang Olympics period. Our Chief Cheongwade correspondent Moon Gun-young starts us off with the details of that schedule.
There are few global events like the Olympics that bring together tens of thousands of people from all around the world and steer the attention of millions to one place at one time. As athletes compete on the field behind their national flag, politicians and statesmen battle it out on a diplomatic level, representing the interests of their own countries. For South Korean President Moon Jae-in, the PyeongChang Winter Games will be the very first international event to host, and with a new spokesperson.
I'm here to announce when, where, and with which leaders President Moon Jae-in will be holding separate meetings on the occasion of the PyeongChang Winter Olympic Games.
On Tuesday, the South Korean leader will welcome the president of Estonia for a bilateral summit at the Blue House, to be followed the next day by Governor General of Canada and President of Lithuania. Thursday, the 8th, is a full day for President Moon with back-to-back summits, starting with the Swiss president. Mr. Moon will then host President Frank-Walter Steinmeier of Germany for a one-on-one and a luncheon, as this will also mark the German president's official visit to South Korea. In the afternoon, Chinese President Xi Jinping's special envoy Han Sung, the president of Poland, will be at the top office, followed by U.S. President Mike Pence, scheduled for a Blue House dinner with President Moon Jae-in. The Moon-Pence meeting is one of the key top-notch encounters, especially with hundreds of North Koreans in the South for the Games, and as the leaders look beyond PyeongChang for future inter-Korean ties and the possibility of U.S.-North Korea nuclear talks. On the day of the opening ceremonies, after a lunch meeting with the UN Secretary General, President Moon will sit down with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in the host city PyeongChang. That to be followed by the Prime Minister of the Netherlands. President Moon's at-home summit diplomacy continues throughout the Olympic period, with 3 more scheduled before the closing of the Games. Among all, the meeting between the leaders of South Korea and Japan is the most highly anticipated, as the two will surely face off over a controversial 2015 deal on Japan's wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women. But there are also forecasts that this will serve as an opportunity for the two leaders to put aside their historic differences and present a united front, especially considering the gravity and the need to together deal with North Korea post-PyeongChang. Moon Gun-young, Arirang News, the Blue House.
With North Korea set to hold the military parade on the eve of the first day of the Winter Games, some fear the move could negatively affect the Olympics and the peaceful momentum that's been building up on the peninsula. However, according to our Kim Young-gil, the unification ministry provided some reassurance that there need not be such concerns.
Despite its decision to send athletes to the Winter Olympics, North Korea announced it would celebrate the founding of its military on February 8th, one day before the start of PyeongChang 2018. The North Military Foundation Day is generally marked with a large parade displaying weapons such as missiles and artillery. On Friday, Seoul's unification ministry commented on the parade.
Our unification minister has said the North's military parade is a domestic event and is not targeted towards the PyeongChang Winter Olympics. It is reasonable to see the event as separate to the Winter Games.
The spokesperson also cited briefings by the U.S. Defense Department, which said Pyongyang frequently holds such military parades and that Washington was not bothered by it. He once again reiterated that the PyeongChang Winter Olympics will be an Olympics for peace.
All member countries within the United Nations should strive to make the PyeongChang Winter Olympics and Paralympics an event to foster peace within Korea and promote peace and cooperation throughout the world.
North Korea's athletes arrived in the South on Thursday, and the rest of the North delegation will enter South Korea next week. North Korea's art troupe will arrive on February 6th, while cheerleaders, members of the Taekwondo demonstration team, and journalists are scheduled to arrive on February 7th. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
The United States is also downplaying the significance of North Korea's February 8th military parade. South Korea's Vice Minister of Unification Chun Ha-sung and U.S. Special Representative for North Korea Policy Joseph Yoon met in Seoul on Friday. According to the ministry, they discussed issues concerning the regime's nuclear threat as well as preparations for its Olympic participation. The duo reaffirmed the importance of using the momentum of the Games and improving inter-Korean ties to denuclearize Pyongyang, which Yoon said is Washington's ultimate goal. The controversy surrounding Victor Cha no longer being a valid nominee for ambassador to South Korea rages on. Some fear the move could mean the Trump administration is considering risky military options against North Korea. Seoul and Washington have been making efforts to dampen any such concerns. Kwon Jang-ho delves deeper into the issue.
The White House has distanced itself from Victor Cha, an academic and former advisor to ex-President George W. Bush, and who was anticipated to head the U.S. Embassy in Seoul. In a press briefing on Thursday, State Department spokesperson Heather Nauert stressed that Cha had never actually received an official nomination from President Trump, and that the media went ahead with the assumption that he would be appointed the next ambassador to South Korea. She also stressed that Washington's policy on North Korea remains the same and that denuclearization of the Korean peninsula through diplomacy was the ultimate goal. The statement came in response to the bloody nose option that Trump officials were said to be considering, as described by Cha in a recent op-ed in the Washington Post. Bloody nose refers to a preventive military strike on North Korea to shock the regime into appreciating U.S. strength, or in other words, give Kim Jong-un a bloody nose. Cha said he voiced his opposition to the White House, but the sudden withdrawal of Cha from consideration for ambassador has led to speculation that the Trump administration was not only dissatisfied with Cha's stance on the policy, but also considering the bloody nose option much more seriously than previously thought. However, a South Korean diplomatic source told reporters on Friday that the withdrawal was not because of Cha's opposition to military options against North Korea, and that this is supported by credible information. The official who spoke on the condition of anonymity added that several other factors contributed to the decision, and while military action is not off the table, is not considered a feasible option at this current time. North Korea watchers in Seoul also agree on this possibility.
The U.S. is perceiving the completion of North Korean ICBM as a kind of red line. If that happens, the U.S. territory would be threatened. Maybe U.S. would use some kinds of military options, but I think that will be only for the worst case. And until then, I think the majority of U.S. policy would be sanctions and pressure.
The South Korean government has been reluctant to comment on Cha's situation as it's a White House internal affair. But with the PyeongChang Winter Olympics just around the corner and North Korea participating in the Games, the reasons behind Washington's withdrawal of Cha as the next envoy to Seoul seems to be gathering unwanted and untimely attention. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
President Moon Jae-in went for a ride in an autonomous fuel cell car, displaying not only support for the industry, but also trust in the product's safety. Hwang Ho-jun takes us to the Liberal leader's test drive of the indigenously developed green vehicle.
After asking some questions about the car's technology,
수소 충전을 한번 하면 몇 킬로 정도를 주행할 건가요?
President Moon Jae-in became the first national leader to ride a fuel cell-powered self-driving car on a highway. The car is called NEWSCENTER and was developed by Hyundai Motor Company. It is the world's first hydrogen-powered autonomous vehicle and can travel 600 kilometers after 5 minutes of charging. It's also loaded with 5G wireless technology. Accompanied by an official by the local developer, President Moon's 15-minute test drive took place at the northern end of the Seoul-Busan Expressway on Friday morning. The event took place as South Korea is set to reveal its first self-driving car services at the PyeongChang Olympic Games, which is only a week away. 7 autonomous vehicles will be in operation around the venues of the Games. After completing the test drive, President Moon visited the Enterprise Support Hub in Pyongyang, a city known for its cutting-edge information technology complex. It was here where the president gave his view on taking a journey by a self-driving car on a highway.
우리가 좀 뒤처진 거 아닌가라는 걱정을 했는데 오늘 제가 탑승을 해보니까 그렇지 않다. 우리도 이미 상당한 수준에 올라와 있다.
President Moon said he is determined to put more effort into increasing the supply of electric and hydrogen-fueled cars and also taking the lead in developing self-driving cars. He said he will open the era of 3 million electric vehicles and make autonomous driving a possibility in all areas by the year 2030. The president also emphasized the need for futuristic cars as they will be environment-friendly, reduce traffic accidents, and will boost secondary industries including the IT, battery, and motion sensor industries. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
The floor leader of the nation's third largest political party took to the podium at Parliament. Their policy speech centered around criticizing what they call a one-sided management of state affairs by the Moon administration. Kim Min-ji has the highlights from the People's Party's turn in the limelight.
South Korea's third largest political party had some strong words for the Moon Jae-in administration. In his policy speech, Kim Dong-chul, the floor leader of the center-left People's Party, said the government is pushing ahead with policies without much communication with opposition parties, experts, or gathering public opinion, leading to confusion and triggering side effects. Listing a few, the hefty minimum wage hike, plans to change irregular workers to regular employees, job creation in the public sector, he claimed none of these initiatives have brought the changes desired by the government.
The fundamental problem of the Moon Jae-in government is that the presidential office is involved everywhere and management of state affairs is done by pushing ahead with its agenda unilaterally.
Regarding the highly anticipated constitutional amendment, the floor leader said that while a referendum should be held in tandem with the local elections in June, it must include a revision to the power structure as it's a root of corruption. He added that the proposal must be crafted at Parliament and not by the president. Kim also called for a change in North Korea policies, pushing for more than just dialogue, saying that it's clear Pyongyang will never give up its nuclear ambitions. He said in the case of another provocation, Seoul must take stronger action.
If North Korea conducts a 7th nuclear test and China does not take strong action, such as cutting off oil supply completely, then South Korea must request for an agreement with the U.S. to share its nuclear assets. We can't just request and wait for China to impose sanctions.
He also warned the government that the reason behind its high approval rating is not its policies, but the public's distrust in the previous conservative government following a massive corruption scandal, calling on the Moon administration to change the way it runs state affairs before it's too late. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Following the first trade talks in Washington in early January, it was round 2 of FTA discussions here in Seoul. For more on what was covered through the heated debate over the amendment of the deal, we turn to our Kim Hye-sung.
2 days of back-to-back negotiations. Trade representatives from South Korea and the U.S. wrapped up their second round of talks to revise their free trade agreement Thursday. Korea's trade ministry said Seoul raised issues with the investor-state dispute settlement cause and ways to protect its agricultural industry. At the close of the meeting, Korea's trade minister Kim Hyun-jong said South Korea made a strong complaint about the Trump administration's safeguard measures.
Recently, 27 new investigations on trade remedies have been launched around the world. Around 30%, 8 cases, are from the U.S. We pointed out the unfairness of this.
Calling the steep tariffs on Korean washing machines and solar panels excessive, South Korea has already filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization. Washington, on the other hand, emphasized steps to improve the large trade deficit in industrial goods, including automobiles and auto parts. As of 2017, Korea's trade surplus with the U.S. was about $18 billion, with car exports accounting for over 70% of the surplus. In a press release, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer said the U.S. will build on negotiations to benefit the American people and U.S. manufacturers. Korea's trade minister said Korea will focus on maximizing its own national interest and reaching a balanced deal.
There's still a long way to go. We will have to negotiate more in order to better understand one another's stance at this stage.
The two sides are expected to hold a third meeting in the U.S. in the next several weeks. Kim Hae-sung, Arirang News.
Back here in Indonesia, a female prosecutor gave rise to Korea's own Me Too movement by throwing herself in the spotlight. After coming forward with allegations of sexual harassment at workplace from nearly a decade ago, she sparked public uproar and prompted the government to set up a countermeasure committee. Cha Sang-mi updates us on what could be the start of a wave of needed changes spurred by her decision to be silenced no more.
The Justice Ministry has formed an internal committee to tackle sexual harassment within the ministry and its related organizations. The move comes after female public prosecutor Seo Ji-yeon on Monday revealed details of her experience of alleged sexual harassment. Justice Minister Park Sang-gi at a press briefing pledged to prevent sexual misconduct against female workers at his ministry and affiliated offices. Park also vowed to protect Seo and others that speak out from any additional victimization.
We will actively work to prevent Prosecutor Seo from any secondary victimization. There can't be any more criticism, attacks, or degrading comments against her.
The minister said the new committee centers around experts, including the prosecution, to prevent and investigate any case of sexual abuse or harassment. He announced the president of Korean Women's Development Institute, Kwon In-suk, as the leader of the new committee. Minister Park also apologized for the ministry's lack of promptness in its original response to Seo's case, including his own response to an email from Seo. Public prosecutor Seo Ji-yeon on Monday revealed her experience of sexual harassment 8 years ago within her workplace. A special inquiry team headed by Chief Prosecutor Cho Hee-jin has been set up to probe into the case of alleged sexual misconduct. Seo on Thursday requested the special inquiry team to protect her from rumors regarding her performance and work discipline after revealing her experience. Meanwhile, Seo's revelation sparked a public uproar with thousands of Koreans protesting outside of the court and signing online petitions on the presidential office's website, demanding an investigation into the matter. Cha Sang-mi, Arirang News.
Volunteering in PyeongChang are not only locals driven by national pride and love of the Games. Many are flying in from across the globe to be a part of the Olympics and make lasting memories in a foreign land. Won Jung-hwan introduces to us this international group of difference makers.
Running a global sporting event is hard work, but luckily, there are plenty of people willing to help. Almost 15,000, in fact. The volunteers will assist in a variety of areas, including medical support and language services. And almost 1,000 of the volunteers are foreigners. People from 62 different countries have stepped forward to help Korea's Winter Olympics run smoothly. The PyeongChang Organizing Committee began recruiting volunteers last year, and on Friday it provided basic training for foreign volunteers here in Wonju so that they understand their roles and importance during the Games.
I appreciate all international volunteers and overseas residents who have come a long way to PyeongChang from many other countries to contribute to the successful hosting of the Games. I believe you are the key elements for the PyeongChang 2018 Games to be truly world festival.
Volunteering at PyeongChang 2018 is an enjoyable and rewarding experience in itself.
I've always wanted to go to the Olympics. Since I was this big, I've dreamed of going. I was going to compete, But then I realized I'm not athletic enough to actually compete for any team in the world. So this is a great way for me to actually come, experience, and be part of it.
And as well as enjoying the Olympics, the foreign volunteers are determined to contribute to the Games by giving something back to others.
Volunteering for me is, it's like empathy, understanding the emotions of others, and interacting with people in a selfless way is, very important. And so that's volunteering for me. And my goal here is just to improve myself and improve the lives of others and, make this event go as smoothly as possible. So.
The PyeongChang Organizing Committee has responded to reports of excessively long commutes and limited access to hot waters at several lodging facilities by promising to improve conditions for the nearly 15,000 volunteers. It plans to run more shuttle buses and make hot water available 24 hours a day. Considering the region's rural location with limited infrastructure compared to larger cities, the organizing committee noted the need to improve support in order to better accommodate volunteers at PyeongChang 2018. 원정환, Arirang News, Wonju.
And as we inch ever closer to the start of the PyeongChang Winter Olympics, it's an especially exciting time for the home team and their fans. If you fall under the latter category and wondering which tickets to snap up, here's a run-through of the sporting disciplines where South Korea stands a golden chance of grabbing some medals, courtesy of our EG1.
With the goal of winning at least 8 gold, 4 silver, and 8 bronze medals, Team Korea aims to win a record number of medals and finish among the top 4 during the PyeongChang Winter Olympics. And the medal hunt will start on the second day of the Games, when the men's 1,500 meters event for short track speed skating takes place at Gangneung Ice Arena. Though the men's short track event did not bring home any medals for Team Korea at the previous Sochi Olympics, the discipline is still one of Korea's strongest hopes for gold. Most of the finals for short track speed skating will be held on February 22nd, including the women's 1,000-meter and men's 5,000-meter relay. The period around the Seollal or Lunar New Year holiday will be a key time for Team Korea. Starting with the women's 500-meter event, we'll witness the world's number 1 and number 2 skaters, Choi Min-jung and Shim Seok-ki, fighting for the gold, while rising figure skating star Cha Jun-han's singles is held on the 17th. Moreover, we'll witness 2-time champion of the women's 500-meter race in speed skating, Lee Sang-hwa, aiming for her 3rd gold medal on the last day of the holiday. While Team Korea has been strong on the ice, the team has never won any medals in snow or track events. But it seems a new chapter will be written in PyeongChang. Skeleton, where racers leap on a tiny sled and plummet down a steep ice track, is an unfamiliar event to many Koreans. But with Yoon Sung-bin rising to the world's top rankings in recent competitions, the possibility of clutching the first gold medal in this discipline has gone up. Alpine snowboarder Lee Sang-woo also came in first in many recent competitions held globally, garnering hope that Team Korea will secure another gold medal just a few days before the Games end. Hopes for gold will be further enhanced thanks to 19 foreign athletes who will be competing under the Korean flag, an unprecedented number in Korean Olympic history. Korea's men's ice hockey team has included 7 foreign athletes in its roster, raising the possibilities of winning a medal. And Korean-Norwegian Kim Magnus is also a gold medal hopeful in cross-country skiing. 이지원, Arirang News.
Time to turn to Michelle Bach at the Weather Center for the updates you need before planning your weekend. Michelle, this coming Sunday is Ipchun in Korea, which marks the day when spring is supposed to begin, but I understand we're not supposed to shed any layers just yet.
Well, Daniel, snow, first of all, is expected to fall on the west coast starting tonight, which will gradually spread across the whole country, blanketing various regions with 1 to 3 centimeters of snow. The precipitation will last until early morning tomorrow, dropping temperatures again nationwide. Seoul will start Saturday at -9 degrees Celsius, Daegu and Busan at -4 and -3 degrees, respectively. The day will stay partly cloudy, with Seoul only reaching -5 degrees, Gwangju and Busan hitting -1 degrees and 3 degrees. After tonight's snow, we will have to endure another cool spell until next Wednesday. Taking a look at the weather conditions in PyeongChang, where the Winter Olympics are taking place. Snow is in the forecast until early morning, and the sky will clear up, but the readings will stay below freezing point. I'll leave you with the weather conditions around the world.
That's all we have in store for you on tonight's edition of Arirang News Center. Thank you for watching. Here's wishing you an incredible weekend.